There is a part of you that you have never been introduced to. It makes your decisions when you are tired. It chooses who you fall for, and more importantly, who you stay with even when it hurts. It explodes at the exact moment you swore you would stay calm. Carl Jung gave it a name. He called it the shadow. And he discovered something deeply disturbing. The people who deny they have one are the most controlled by it. The woman who insists she is a good person is often the most dangerous, because everything she refuses to see, she acts out without knowing. This is not about becoming darker. It is not about becoming a bad person. It is about finally meeting the version of you that has been running the show all along while you were busy looking the other way. Think about the last time you felt a surge of irrational hatred for someone. Perhaps a colleague who is too loud, a friend who seems too selfish, or a stranger who carries themselves with a confidence that feels like an insult. You told yourself you disliked them because of their character flaws. You judged them from a place of moral superiority. But Jung would suggest something else. He would say that the person you despise is actually a mirror. They are expressing a quality that you possess, but have been forced to exile into the basement of your psyche. You don't hate them. You hate the reflection of your own hidden potential. This is the fundamental truth of the human experience, and that most people spend their entire lives running from. Your life is not being shaped by your conscious desires. It is being dictated by the things you have rejected. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. To understand why you feel divided, you have to understand how the mask was created. When you were a small child, you arrived in this world as a complete being. You were a chaotic mix of everything. You were angry, you were joyful, you were selfish, you were generous, you were aggressive, and you were tender. You were a full spectrum of human potential. But very quickly, you learned that being a full spectrum was dangerous. You noticed that when you were quiet and good, your parents smiled. When you were angry or selfish, they withdrew their love or punished you. To survive, you began to perform an act of psychological surgery on yourself. You took all the traits that were deemed unacceptable by your family, your school, and your religion, and you cut them off. You put them in a bag and hid them behind your back. This bag is the shadow. The parts of you that were allowed to stay in the light became your persona, the mask you wear to be loved and accepted. You became the helpful daughter, the reliable friend, the peacekeeper, or the nice guy. But the energy you cut off didn't just vanish. It didn't die because you ignored it. It went underground. It fermented. And because it is no longer under your conscious control, it has developed a life of its own. This is why you find yourself in the same toxic relationships over and over. This is why you self-sabotage just as you are about to succeed. This is why you feel a deep, underlying sense of emptiness, even when you are doing everything right. You are living as a fragment of a person, while the rest of you is screaming from the dark to be seen. The price of your goodness was your wholeness. We have been taught that to be a spiritual or evolved person, we must move toward the light and discard the dark. But Jung realized that this is a recipe for disaster. The more you try to be only light, the more power you give to the darkness. Think of a spring being pushed down into a box. The harder you press, the more tension builds. Eventually, the spring will snap back with a force that can destroy everything you've built. This is the good person who suddenly leaves their family, the saint who is caught in a scandal, or the empath who explodes in a fit of rage that shocks everyone who knows them. They didn't turn bad, they simply ran out of energy to keep the basement door locked. Everything you hate in others is a mirror of what you have exiles within yourself. This is the most uncomfortable truth of Jungian psychology. We call it projection. Imagine you are in a dark room with a projector. You see a terrifying image on the wall. You try to scrub the wall. You try to paint over it. You try to yell at the image to go away, but the image remains. Why? Because the film is inside the projector. The wall is just a surface. Most of our conflicts with other people are actually conflicts with our own shadows projected onto them. When someone triggers you, They are not creating a feeling inside you. They are uncovering a feeling that was already there. If you find yourself constantly surrounded by narcissists, it is time to look at your own shadow. Why is your psyche drawn to people who take up so much space? Perhaps it is because you have exiled your own right to have needs. If you despise people who are arrogant, perhaps you have buried your own healthy pride so deeply that you have become a doormat. The person you hate is actually carrying the very medicine you need to become whole. They are expressing the energy you lack. You don't need to become like them, but you do need to reclaim the strength that is hidden behind your judgment of them. This process of projection is what keeps us stuck in cycles of resentment. We spend our lives trying to fix everyone else, trying to change our partners, or complaining about the world, all to avoid the terrifying realization that the villain is living inside our own skin. It is easier to point a finger than it is to look in the mirror, but the finger you point is a leash that ties you to the very thing you claim to hate. You are not free of someone as long as you are reacting to them. True sovereignty only comes when you look at the person who triggers you and ask, what part of me am I seeing in them? The more you repress your shadow, the louder it gets. It starts to manifest as physical symptoms, as chronic anxiety, or as accidents that aren't really accidents. It shows up in your dreams as a dark figure chasing you. It shows up in your speech as slips of the tongue that reveal what you really think. Most importantly, it shows up in your choice of romantic partners. We are unconsciously drawn to people who possess the traits we have repressed. This is why the good girl falls for the bad boy. She isn't looking for a rebel. She is looking for her own lost aggression, her own lost power, and her own lost wildness. She sees it in him because she cannot see it in herself. But because she hasn't integrated these traits, the relationship becomes a battleground. She tries to fix him, which is really just an attempt to keep those dark traits under control, both in him and in herself. We often think that the shadow is only composed of negative traits like anger, greed, or lust. But the shadow is simply everything that was not allowed. For many people, their golden shadow is also hidden in the dark. This includes your creativity, your intuition, your brilliance, and your capacity for deep joy. If you grew up in a family where being too much was criticized, you may have hidden your greatness in the shadow. You might feel a strange sense of shame when you succeed, or you might find yourself downplaying your intelligence so others don't feel uncomfortable. You are just as afraid of your light as you are of your dark. Integration means reclaiming all of it, the monster and the genius. There is a profound danger in believing you are a good person. Jung famously said that he would rather be whole than good. This is a shocking statement to many, but it is the key to true morality. A person who believes they are purely good is incapable of seeing their own capacity for evil. They are the ones who participate in lynch mobs, who judge others harshly on social media, and who justify cruelty in the name of righteousness. Because they have no awareness of their own shadow, they project it onto an enemy and feel perfectly justified in attacking them. They are not being moral. They are being possessed by their unconscious. True morality requires choice. You cannot claim to be kind if you are incapable of being cruel. If you are only kind because you are afraid of conflict, then your kindness is a weakness, not a virtue. It is a survival strategy, not a choice. A truly virtuous person is someone who knows exactly how dangerous they can be, who understands their capacity for destruction, but chooses to keep their sword in its sheath. You must have a shadow to have a backbone. You must be able to say no, to be aggressive when necessary, and to stand your ground. Without your shadow, you are not a good person. You are a harmless person, and there is a world of difference between the two. Meeting your shadow is the most difficult work you will ever do. It requires a level of radical honesty that most people find unbearable. It means admitting that you are capable of the same things you judge in others. It means looking at your niceness and seeing the manipulation behind it. It means looking at your victimhood and seeing how you use it to gain power or avoid responsibility. It is a process of disillusionment. You have to watch the idealized version of yourself die. You have to realize that you are not the hero of your own story. Not yet. But on the other side of this discomfort is an incredible sense of relief. When you stop trying to be perfect and start trying to be whole, the weight of the world lifts off your shoulders. You no longer have to spend so much energy maintaining the mask. You no longer have to be terrified of being found out. You begin to move through the world with a new kind of authority. People can feel it. There is a weight to your presence that wasn't there before. This is the birth of the individual. You are no longer a collection of social expectations. You are a person who has faced their own darkness and come back with the treasure. Integration is not about fixing the shadow. You don't make the shadow go away. You negotiate with it. You invite it to the table. If you have a shadow of intense anger, you don't try to stop being angry. Instead, you ask that anger what it wants. Usually, it wants protection. It wants boundaries. It wants you to stop letting people walk all over you. When you give that anger a conscious job, like setting a boundary at work or leaving a toxic relationship, it stops exploding in your face. It becomes a source of strength instead of a source of shame. This is what it means to lead your life instead of being driven by it. Many people who identify as empaths are actually people with a highly repressed shadow. They pride themselves on being sensitive and caring, but they often struggle with intense resentment and unexplained fatigue. If this is you, consider that your empathy might be a mask for your fear of your own power. You focus on the feelings of others because you are terrified of what would happen if you focused on your own. You have made yourself small to stay safe. Your healing journey isn't about becoming more sensitive. It's about becoming more solid. It's about integrating the narcissistic part of you that believes you deserve to exist, that believes your time is valuable, and that believes you have the right to say, "Get out" to anyone who drains you. This is the path to sovereignty. A sovereign person is not someone who is perfect. They are someone who is aware. They know their triggers. They know their capacity for jealousy, for laziness, and for cruelty. Because they know these things, they are not controlled by them. They can feel a surge of shadow energy, and instead of acting it out, they can sit with it. They can say, there is my shadow wanting to be seen. In that moment of awareness, the shadow loses its grip. It transforms from a possessive demon into a psychological tool. The world is currently in a crisis of projection. We see it everywhere. In politics, in culture wars, in the way we interact online. Everyone is looking for a scapegoat. Everyone is looking for someone else to blame for the darkness they feel inside. We think that if we could just get rid of those people, everything would be fine. But as Jung warned, if you destroy the person you have projected your shadow onto, you don't destroy the shadow. You simply find a new hook to hang it on. The only way to change the world is to withdraw your projections. The only way to stop the cycle of conflict is to face the conflict within yourself. When you begin to work with your shadow, your relationships change. You stop looking for a partner to complete you or to carry the traits you've lost. You stop expecting others to be perfect because you have accepted your own imperfection. You become less judgmental and more compassionate, not out of a sense of moral duty, but out of a deep understanding of the human condition. You realize that everyone you meet is fighting a battle with a shadow they don't even know they have. This doesn't mean you let people mistreat you. In fact, it means the opposite. Because you are no longer projecting your own hidden aggression. You can see their behavior clearly for what it is, and you can walk away without the need for a dramatic scene. You simply become done. This is the aha moment that sustains the journey. It is the realization that your shadow is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally. It is the reservoir of your vitality. All the energy you have been using to keep the basement door shut is now available to you for creation, for love, and for living. You feel more alive. You feel more grounded. You are no longer a ghost in your own life, floating through days dictated by unconscious patterns. You are finally here. Jung once told a story about a man who was looking for his keys under a street lamp. A passerby asked where he lost them, and the man pointed to a dark alleyway. "Then why are you looking here under the light?" the passerby asked. The man replied, "Because the light is better here." Most of us are looking for the keys to our happiness in the light, in our good deeds, in our achievements, and in our positive thinking. But the keys are in the dark alleyway. They are in the parts of yourself you have rejected and forgotten. You will not find them by staring at the street lamp. You have to go into the dark. This is not a journey for the faint of heart. It requires a willingness to be wrong about yourself. It requires a willingness to see the ugly parts of your soul and to say, "This too is me." But if you can do this, if you can meet your shadow and shake its hand, you will gain something that no one can ever take from you. You will gain yourself. You will move from a state of being broken and trying to be good to a state of being whole and being real. And in a world of masks, being real is the ultimate power. Think about the people who have a presence that commands the room. They aren't necessarily the loudest or the most beautiful, but they have a density. They seem to occupy their entire body. This density comes from integration. They are not hiding parts of themselves. They have invited their shadow into the light of their awareness. They have the look of someone who has seen their own internal abyss and didn't blink. That is the look of a sovereign human being. That is the look of someone who can no longer be manipulated, because there is no part of them left in the dark for others to pull on. Your shadow is calling to you every day. It speaks through your fatigue. It speaks through your irritability. It speaks through the people who annoy you the most. It is asking you to stop running. It is asking you to stop being good and start being whole. The version of you that you've been hiding is the very version that knows how to save you. It knows how to set the boundaries you're too afraid to set. It knows how to take the risks you're too afraid to take. It knows how to love with a depth that your polite self can't even imagine. The path to your highest self does not go around the shadow. It goes through it. You do not reach the sun by climbing higher into the clouds. You reach it by recognizing that you are the sky, and the sky contains both the sun and the storms. Integration is not perfection. It is the end of the war within yourself. It is the moment you finally stop being your own greatest obstacle and start being your own greatest strength. The people who triggered you today were a gift. They were showing you where you are still not free. The mistakes you made today were a gift. They were showing you where your shadow is still acting out because it feels ignored. The shame you feel right now is a gift. It is the signal that you are close to a breakthrough. Don't push it away. Sit with it. Ask it what it has to tell you. Every part of you, no matter how dark or ugly you think it is a part of the divine mystery of being human. When you stop judging it, you can start using it. Stop looking for the light outside of yourself. Stop looking for a savior, a guru, or a partner to fix the emptiness. The emptiness is just the space where your shadow belongs. When you bring the shadow back home, the emptiness vanishes. You become solid. You become real. You become the person you were always meant to be before the world told you who you had to be to survive. This is the invitation. It is an invitation to the most important meeting of your life. It is the meeting between the person you pretend to be and the person you actually are. It is the meeting between your mask and your soul. Do not be afraid of what you will find. The monster in the basement is just a lonely child who was told they weren't allowed to exist. Go down there. Open the door. Bring them into the light. The moment you embrace your shadow is the moment you finally begin to live. This is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice. It is a commitment to awareness. Every time you feel a strong reaction to someone else, stop. Breathe. Ask yourself, what is this revealing about me? Every time you find yourself repeating a pattern of self-sabotage, stop. Look at the benefit your shadow is getting from that behavior. Every time you feel the urge to judge, look for the projection. This is how you reclaim your power, one piece at a time. This is how you become the master of your own destiny. The world will tell you to stay in the light. It will tell you to be positive, to vibrate higher, and to ignore the negative. But the world is terrified of whole people. Whole people cannot be controlled. Whole people do not buy things to fill a void they no longer have. Whole people do not follow leaders blindly because they have found the leader within themselves. The most revolutionary thing you can do in a world of fragments is to become a whole human being. And the only way to become whole is to meet your shadow. If this made you recognize a part of yourself you've been hiding, comment the word shadow. It means you're ready to stop running from it. Subscribe to Continue the Journey Inward.